Over 100 countries being impacted worldwide. A global revival coming forth. A great awakening. Media Revival TV, impacting and transforming a generation to encounter the power of God.
I'm going to share something that happened this morning. We kind of transition this. I was up here in a panel, and how many of y'all know that when you start talking about the goodness of God, you start talking about His nature, you start talking about His power, you start talking about how good He is, guess what happens? That mantle of His goodness, it begins to linger, it begins to float. Pastor and Bonnie and Ryan and people's prayers and intercession, and it invited. How many of y'all know that when the Lord comes, He gives us a side to Him that we need? He shows us a side. I already hear Ryan. Oh, yeah. Ryan's got some stuff on that. But we're going to have some fun here. Is that all right? We can have some fun? All right. So all of a sudden, I'm sitting there. And how many of y'all know that we all see in parts? We all function differently, right? But when we all come together, we look just like Him. And the Lord came up to me, and He came right behind me. And He says, "Can I use you?" And He says, "If not, then get off the pulpit." And when He said, "Can I use you?" basically what He's saying, how many of y'all know that when He says just a couple of things, it opens up a whole other realm of emotions and this whole other teaching? Just within a word or a scripture, you can teach on it for weeks. And in my spirit, basically what He's saying is, if I can't use you the way that I want to walk in you, then why are you living? What else is there to live for if I cannot demonstrate who I am inside of you? What else is there? And He was telling me, what else is in you that is more important than me manifesting myself in? And I said, "Lord, then use me." Ryan started talking about the glove, how the Lord wraps Himself and opens up your flesh and walks in. And He came inside of me, and I got to take you there, okay? Because we're going to talk about the supernatural. We're going to talk about the natural. Us transitioning into our original home. We are spirit beings having a human experience. So He came inside of me, and He shot me up straight to heaven. And there was these golden eagles. They look like how many of y'all know those toy soldiers? They're red with those long hats, and they're just... And there was these eagles, uncommissioned golden eagles, and they were on fire. You want to know what that is? That's you. And He came by, and a torch was set on fire. At that time, it was weird, but the Lord stopped and says, "Peter, that's my friend. Tell him that I've given him access to my heart, and that he's been given access to commission the eagles on fire." He's moving into a realm. He's coming out, understanding sonship, and coming into a friend of God. The Lord called you my friend. And then He began to take me higher. And He stuck my head in the woods. And in these trees, there were faces of people. And he was calling them out, and he was saying, walk with me. There were human beings inside of the trees. And he was saying, walk with me. And when he was calling the people out, they came outside of the trees. And it was an army. And he was whispering in their ear, and he was saying, let me tell you my secrets. And when the people began to put their ear to the Lord, the secrets was him delivering your inheritance, your promises. Basically what he was saying is, let me come give you your portion. And all of a sudden, I became that eagle, and the Lord walked inside of me, and he says, you ready? He took me higher. I went out of heaven, I went into this whole place, and right when I was coming into this other geographical place, I began to start seeing the mansions of the Father's palace, the mansions. And I was like, no, Lord. And I got out of this. I came out of this experience. And then he pulled me back in. He says, I need to take you somewhere. And he took me to a land. And he flew me over. And there was 4 mountains. And there was a valley. And there was a generation that was waiting for the call of God. And he says, I have called the 4 winds on these 4 mountaintops. And I am going to release a sound that is going to activate a generation to know that it's just right there. It's right there. It's right there. Come on out. Come on up. Come on higher. Come on up! It's right there! It's right there. It's right there.
Over 100 countries being impacted worldwide. A global revival coming forth. A great awakening. Media Revival TV. Impacting and transforming a generation to encounter the power of God.